Some days you just want to amplify your everyday look. Like when you want the look of false lashes without the extra effort, reach for Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Volumizer Mascara. Or when you want all eyes on your smile, keep Empower Gloss Ultra Glossy Lip Serum in your bag. It's a burst of 24-hour hydration that smooths like a serum, shines like a gloss, and can be worn sheer or layered. You'll always look and feel your best with Thrive Cosmetics. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin, not against it. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
Live from the back of Ruth the Realtor's car, it's the Stacking Deeds Show. I'm Ruth the Realtor's part-time mechanic neighbor Doug, broadcasting live from the spacious recording studio in the trunk of her 88 Lincoln Town Car. On today's show, ever feel like you're flying blind in the crazy world of real estate investing? Wondering what economic factors might impact your next move? Well, fret no more. Whether you're looking to buy your first investment property or you're already a landlord, Crystal and Joe discuss economic data and why you should stay in tune with it. In our headlines, we'll unpack two key articles that shed light on the current housing market. You'll hear about how record-high monthly payments are impacting buyers and the potential for declining rates to boost activity. Plus, they'll explore the concept of shadow inventory and how it can significantly impact housing supply and prices. And of course, I'll pop in later with my property pop quiz. And now, two peeps who are married to Home Depot, but Lowe's is their mistress. It's Crystal Hammond and Joe Saul-Sehy.
I thought we're not supposed to use their names till they are sponsors.
Doug, you don't spill the tea on us in front of...
I think they know about each other. This is like marriages in France where they all just know you got a side piece. They're good with it.
I don't know, though. Married to Home Depot, but Lowe's is the mistress.
I like Lowe's.
I like Lowe's better, too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So do we want to be married to Home Depot at all in the first place?
No.
Well, Home Depot's more reliable.
No.
Are we in a dead-end marriage here?
Yeah, you can't find help at Home Depot.
But it's funny, Doug. I think it might be regional, right?
Oh, that's
like
a
it
good
just
point.
Depends on your local store.
Let's have them both come on. Let's do The Bachelor with Lowe's and Home Depot and have them compete for our love.
Oh my God. Instead of giving like a rose, we'll give like a wrench.
Yes. I love it. A discounted wrench. There we go.
It'd be
I
super.
like it.
Take a sheet of plywood. It's worth a lot more. It's like $80 for a sheet of plywood.
And
right
the plywood goes to. Why do you like Home Depot better, Doug?
It just feels like home.
Oh,
it does though.
To me, it feels more like a depot.
What?
It feels more like a depot to me.
I don't know what it is. It feels more authentic. Like this is really where like real builders go. Lowe's feels like more you're a wannabe home fixer-upper person. Home Depot, that's where the pros
Well, it's
go.
too clean. That's what you're basically saying. Lowe's is too clean.
Lowe's is a little too flashy. That's why I think it's a good side. It's a good side piece.
The side piece.
Like when you go looking for a little strange, you want something that's a little more polished.
Seems a little more put together.
Yes. Made an effort when they left the house.
If you're leaving it on the side, then it's a little cray-cray, right? You're not like marriage material.
Moving on.
Okay. Joe and I were just really latching on to this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Infidelity Podcast. I am Joe. She's Crystal. He's Doug. We've got a fantastic show today because Crystal, you know what? We have no guest today.
We are the guests.
We are the guest.
Yes.
Who needs a guest when we got Crystal Hammond and Doug? I mean, come on.
We are the champions, my friend.
And we'll keep fighting until at least the show's over. Right.
Exactly.
End
we
of
won't
this
keep
episode.
You long.
We've got not one, but two headlines. We're going to do one before Doug's amazing trivia break. The second one after. First half, we're going to talk about buying your next property. And then after the break, we're going to talk about renting in this market. Lots of new data on both fronts. So let's get started.
Hello, chaps. And now our Stacking Deeds headlines. Cheerio and pip pip.
Our first headline comes to us from Redfin, and their housing market update came out not long ago. Record high monthly payments chill spring selling season, but declining rates could boost activity. All this data is through April, and we have some, and sometimes through the beginning of May. Let's start off, Crystal, with the daily average 30-year fixed mortgage rate. The rate was 7.2%, which, by the way, down from a 5-month high of just over 7.5% a couple weeks earlier. That's up, though, Crystal, from 6.5% this time last year. Yeah. So interest rates generally trending higher. However, there's a lot of people out there that think that rates are possibly headed down, as other economic data seems to suggest that the Fed might be in a move to lower short-term interest rates. What do you think that says for our deeders right now? If we're looking at rates that are higher, possibility of them coming down?
Even the chart says it from last year. They're up, but they're coming down. Just 2 weeks ago, that 0.25 percentage difference that it came down, that's only 2 weeks. So imagine how much lower they can go in whatever time frame they can go. A lot of people are in this sit back and watch kind of a mood or a position, which that's always a great position, is to sit back and watch.
I don't know. I consider that to be a mistake.
Well, because then that's going to bring more people. And that's what you don't want. You don't want it saturated like it was years ago with the bidding wars. So it's weeding out the weed out. So interest rates have been in a weed out stage. Remember the weed out courses, freshmen, you could sleep through chemistry 101 or biology 101. They don't care. That's your weed out course to see who's serious. So the interest rate, it's weeding out the people who really can't spot a good deal. Because I keep saying this, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face.
I was waiting.
When I bought my first place, well, not that one. This is the other one I say all the time. I bought my first place and interest rates were higher than they are now. Like an adjustable rate mortgage, they're usually lower. So my adjustable rate mortgage, which was lower, was over 7%. Yeah. But I found a deal and it was math. Boom. My golden phrase is do the math, because that's going to tell you if a property is a good deal or not. Not the interest rate, not the property tax, not the insurance. Those are all things you have to pay for.
I thought you were going to say marry the property, date the rate.
Oh.
Marry Home Depot, date the lows.
Yeah. I like that. That's true.
Doug, what's the rate now?
Zillow has it as of June 17th anyways. It was 6.5.
Whoa.
Is where the 30-year fixed is.
That's what I thought. I thought it'd come down from the 7.2
that
we're looking at in May, that it'd come back down. But here's the other thing, Crystal, we got to think about. Think about the time of year that it is. In the Northern Hemisphere, houses, especially in the northern half of the United States, houses show a lot better in the spring and early summer. So you've got most people putting their house on the market. So inventory levels are going to be higher. All those people aren't smart. All the people putting their house on the market are not geniuses. And so the opportunity for you to find a deal is better if you go hunting in the spring and in the early summer. So that's another reason I don't like sitting and waiting. Certainly, we have to always apply, Crystal, your do the math filter. Right. We don't want to just jump at something because it's a pretty property, or we think that, we're YOLOing our way into money. We have to make sure that it is a good deal for us, but we don't want to be on the sideline, I think.
Well, and a lot of people are putting their houses on the market because this is the best time for people with families and kids are out of school. So that is the best time to make your move, quote unquote. I know I've heard renters too, like who's moving in January, especially up north when the weather is nuts and you can slip and fall, which I've slipped and fall moving, walking in awful weather. So it's definitely timing too.
Mortgage purchase applications are down 17% from this time last year. Of course, I'll bet with Doug, what you just mentioned, with rates being down, that we're going to see the mortgage purchase applications up. Those tend, Crystal, to go up and down with rates, right? Rates go up, mortgage purchase applications go up. Rates come down, mortgage purchase applications come back up. However, you think this is also a sign of a slowing market?
Well, people have called it slow all this time because look at how many sales. There's not as many sales right now just because it's keeping the novices out, the higher interest rate. It's been keeping prices, well, not prices at bay, but inventory is low and prices are a lot higher in a lot of these metropolitan areas too. So the interest rate now that it's fallen to 6, I cannot imagine since just a month ago we were in the 7s and now we're in the 6. So what's going to happen in August?
Redfin Home Buyer Demand Index is down 6% from a month earlier, but down 12% from this time last year. That does show, Crystal, that shows a slowing desire, appetite for people to buy houses right now, maybe due to the fact that rates were up. But I think,
For so
I don't know.
long.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of other indicators showing that maybe the real estate thing's slowing down. Touring activity, people going and looking at houses this year up 32% from the start of the year. At this time last year, it was only up 27% from the start of 2023. So the touring activity is more robust this year than it was at the beginning of the year last year.
And this is also looking at dates too, because more people, you can't really predict what's in people's minds. You could just make your best decision based on what's in front of you. And so, do people prefer to tour in the summer? Like I said, in the spring months when kids are out of school and the weather is better because you can see more.
Yeah.
You cannot see a lot with snow or in bad
No.
weather or a downpour, rain.
Yeah, good point. You'd certainly see it's going to be up from the start of the year, right?
Yeah.
Last one on this particular list, Google searches for homes for sale down 18% from this time last year. Fewer people even thinking about Crystal. Now, I think there might be two things going on there. Home prices continue to be higher. So you think about buying a house right now, home prices are up, inflation still high, and interest rates at the time this stuff came out in May, interest rates higher, 18% less thirst for houses.
I do like that they included Google Trends because when you look at Google Trends, it will show you what people are looking for and it can show you what people are searching for in your zip code also. So you can see if people are moving into or even moving away from your area that you have your eye on too. So this Google Trends searching homes for sale down 18%, and that's nationwide. So I would even want to know what homes for sale in my neighborhood.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
And keep looking at that just to know what times of year are the best also, because then that can go with pricing.
Yeah. Housing in Detroit and housing in Washington, D.C., where you live, two totally different markets.
Totally different, especially look at what we have coming up. We have an election year coming up. So you can just only imagine what that's going to do to real estate after the election. So we're going to either have people not moving because we'll have the same administration, or we will have a lot of movers and shakers because there will be a new administration coming in.
Oh, you're talking about Washington, D.C. I thought you were talking about nationwide. I was like, why would I move depending on who the president is? I thought you were making some political commentary in D.C.
Just to say, when you're looking at certain areas of, where you're going. And you can even look back. So even Google Trends, you can use that to look back at last time that there was a change in administration and also look back to see what happened when there was not a change in administration, because that's something that you wouldn't want to be blindsided for, right?
That's interesting. Friends of mine, I didn't even think about that, about the administration moving, but I have friends, Crystal, in Texarkana that served a former president and they moved to DC at the time that they worked in the White House and then moved right back out of DC home afterwards.
I noticed that too at where I work because my government job back in the day before COVID, you had to work in the office a couple years before you were allowed to work from home in any city. But a lot of people, they would just come here to work long enough to be able to work from home and they would move right back to where they lived. So a lot of people, even just like you said, your friends, they are coming to the area as renters. And so that's another thing to look for when you're buying your first piece of investment property is where and the who.
Median sale price on average in the United States, and obviously, again, there's no one set market. I love, Crystal, you brought that up. $384,721. That's 4.5% higher than this time last year. So real estate prices definitely keeping pace with overall inflation.
Yeah, but look at that last column too. It's an all-time high.
It's an all-time high.
That's pretty huge.
Median asking price, 419,000. That is 6.5% higher than last year. So there's a bigger gulf between the asking price and the sale price. This is interesting though, Crystal, because, we used to be this tells you what type of market it is. In a really hot market, those numbers, the asking price and the sale price, going to be very close together. But nationally, they're pulling apart. You're seeing a 6.5% difference in the median asking price and only 4.5 when it comes to the sale price. And we've got about a $35,000 difference between the two.
And another interesting point is it appears to be inversely proportional to what's happening with the interest rates too, because the rates are coming down, but these numbers are all-time highs. So if they were at all-time highs, even as interest rates are high, then as the interest rates are lowered, that's going to bring more people. And then that is the recipe for the bidding wars. So it will be interesting to see how much higher they go if they're at all-time highs.
Maybe that's why this next stat might be the reason why I kind of feel some negativity, and we'll get more negativity in the second half of today's show. But median monthly mortgage payment, the median monthly mortgage payment, $2,894 at a 7.22% mortgage rate. That is the median. That is 14.1% higher than the median monthly mortgage payment a year ago. Also an all-time high. People out of pocket on their mortgage, 14.1% more than they were last year. That's crazy.
Yep. So that's for people that, are buying and people that possibly, I don't know why you would refinance now, but that could be a reason, but all-time highs. And I don't see rents going up by that amount, like the 14.1%.
No, yeah, we're going to get to that stat in the second half as well, that rents are actually going down. So with the sale price only 4.5% higher, obviously interest rates being higher than they used to be, the median monthly mortgage rate shooting up for all the new people the last couple of years that have much higher rates than people before that in the market. That's a big one. We talked about this a little bit on the Stacking Benjamin show. Doug, I want to bring you into this conversation for a second because you just paid off a mortgage.
Woohoo!
I did pay off a mortgage about 5 months ago.
So you see this 14.1% jump up that we saw. Were you thinking the opposite? You're at a part of your life where I just don't want that extra number in my budget?
Yeah, it had more to do with that, like timing in our lives and the fact that, and we talked about this on Stacking Benjamins as well, that I think it was OG who said nobody makes their last payment. They get to the point in their mortgage where they realize, you know what, I got enough in my account right now. Let's just get it over with and let's just skip the last couple. That's about where we were. We had more than a couple left, but we had enough liquid cash that we could just get it over with. And while I know that it was the cheapest money I was ever going to have a loan for in my life, I think we were at like 3 1/8 or something like that. The cost of having that peace of mind of knowing that I owned it free and clear was more valuable to me than what I was going to save by just taking that money and putting it in the market for the next 3 or 4 years before it was paid off on schedule. So that was kind of how I justified it.
Also, something interesting about you, Doug, that a lot of people don't know is that you actually own 2 houses. Have you ever thought about with that second house? I know you haven't rented it out or done an Airbnb, but at this juncture, have you thought about turning it into a rental property?
It has barely crossed our minds a little bit, but honestly, we haven't needed the cash flow. We wanted to be able to have it for utility purposes to go to when we needed it, when we needed to travel where that house is. And we also know that we're getting ready to do a really big project on our other home, and we're going to move back into the first house. So we have that. It's a utility value for us more than an income value. And the hassle of having to figure out how do we clear all our stuff out of there, all our personal items, so that we can use it as an Airbnb or a long-term rental. It wasn't a necessity for us. And so we chose not to. Could we have in hindsight? Yeah, but the motivation wasn't there either financially or otherwise.
Yeah, we're going to talk to our friend Tiffany Grant, who decided to go the other way. She decided actually when she moved to rent out her house and make it an Airbnb. We'll be talking to her in the next couple of weeks. So do you think after that period that, are you going to put it on the market? And does this market, we're hitting all these all-time highs in sale price and asking, I mean, clearly a higher sale price, Doug, wouldn't bother you.
Wouldn't rub me the wrong way. No. Absolutely not. In fact, we're banking on that. There's such low inventory right now. I know some other people in our neighborhood who put their house on the market and it sold within hours for asking. In fact, I might have spoken about this already on the show in the last few weeks, but it was the first time I'd ever heard of anybody getting what they asked within hours, and their counter was to go up.
Oh, right.
The seller actually countered going higher. And here was the logic. It took me a second of scratching my head like, wait, is that allowed? I want to sell you my old, cassette player for $20. And I say it's $20 and you're like, deal, I'll take it. Wait, now it's 25. Like, no, you don't get to do that. And that's essentially what one of my friends did. And the logic behind it was actually a recommendation from the realtor I thought was actually sound, which was my friend, the seller, said to the prospective buyer, look, if you want me to take this off the market in hours without ever having a chance to entertain any competitive bids on this, then you're going to pay a premium for the right to have this come off the market. So he countered 10 grand higher and got it like instantly. Wow. There was no question on it. So, of course, we have this house project we're doing. It's going to take us about a year. We're going to live in that other home for the better part of a year. And we're just rolling the dice like you always do on a lot of these decisions of, is the market going to be as hot a year plus from now as it is right now? We don't know, but we don't think it's going to crash either. We're not anticipating another 08.
That is a very good point of having a knowledgeable realtor, because that was the realtor's recommendation and it paid off big time. I love that.
Paid for any commission and more.
Well, yeah, that too.
By far. There's a few statistics here I want to take, Crystal, out of order because I think they make more sense. A 4 to 5 month supply of houses on the market is considered a balanced supply. And Doug, to your point about houses in your neighborhood selling quick, this is a lot of neighborhoods. We currently are at 3.2 months versus 4 or 5 months. So there still is a very constricted supply. A worrying statistic, though, is that number is moving up. It's up 0.5 point since a year ago.
And that symbol seller's market. Yeah, they do say that.
Yeah, we're still a long way from a buyer's market, but because we're nowhere near 4 or 5, but we're inching that way. And the other stats in that area are also the same. The number of active listings, 877,000, is up 13% from a year ago. So also reflecting a higher supply. New listings up 9%. That's good news that there's still more people coming in. But listen to this. While there's new listings, nobody's buying. Pending sales down 3% from a year ago. So we have fewer buyers than we had 12 months ago. And the share of houses that are like the houses, Doug, that you're talking about, 44.9% of homes go off the market in the first 2 weeks. For one reason or another. Usually it's because they sold. That is down, though, from 47%. Another indicator, Crystal, this market is moving away from a seller's market to more of a balanced market. Still a long way to go. By the way, the median number of days on the market, 34. That's up a day from a year ago. 30% of houses, though, are still being sold above the list price. 30% of them. That's down from 32 from a year ago. Share of homes with a price drop, 6.2%, have had to drop their price. That's up 1.9 points from a year ago. Interesting data there, Crystal. But overall, looking at metro areas with the biggest year-over-year increases in year-over-year increases in the median sale price, Anaheim, California. You hear all these people talking about how everybody's leaving California. Well, apparently you haven't told homeowners. California
always makes the most expensive list. So big.
21% in Anaheim. 21% higher in Anaheim than a year ago. Biggest year-over-year decrease You hear about those people leaving California. Where are they moving? They're moving to Texas. Well, nobody told San Antonio because it's down 1.9%. Now, the big news is declined in just one metro.
Wow. So that's the only area that they had a decrease.
But the number of pending sales decreased in Phoenix, 13% less than before. Atlanta, almost 12%. Houston, Jacksonville, Florida, Orlando, all 10% or greater decrease in the number of pending sales. And again, California, San Jose, 22%, Anaheim, 9.1, Oakland, 6, San Francisco, 6, and then Seattle, almost 6. The cities
increase,
with more sales taking place.
Well, but I could see people not selling in Orlando just because people are Airbnb-ing like crazy in Orlando. I know if I have a house, I'm not selling my Florida house.
Just keep the house close to the mouse, available for rent.
House close to the mouse. That's a good one.
Yeah, I made that up right now. They call me Joe Rhymes. I don't know.
No.
Those are interesting stats, but generally, Crystal, what I take from it is we still have a very robust market. We have a very good market. If you're trying to sell your house, you're trying to buy a house, still not a ton of inventory, but the market seems to be, I don't know, a little worrisome. I worry about more houses going online and yet fewer sales.
True. And then just like your Google machine would tell you, and it depends on, which area, because then look at California versus, Texas or
Jacksonville or.
Right. Yep. So it 100% depends because, on one side of the numbers look great, but then there's other areas where the numbers are not there. So let the numbers tell you what to do again.
And then in any tight market like we're in now, use what Crystal said. Make sure that your deal is a sweet deal. The way to look and see if it's a sweet deal, we had Suni Rao on the first week of this year going over how to find your numbers. Go back, listen to that episode, and Suni will walk you through all of the data points to help you make sure that you're getting your best deal. Coming up next, we're going to flip it over to, speaking of flipping property, we're going to flip this property over away from buying the property into renting. What does the rental market look like? We got stats that Doug found on all of that coming up after the break. But at the halfway point of every show, we take a breather so Doug can regale us with the world's best property pop quiz.
Hey there, Deaners. I'm Ruth's wrench-wielding repair guru, neighbor Doug. This show's all about helping you buy, manage, and sell real estate, right? But you know what we don't talk enough about? Animal husbandry. I mean, for centuries, we just don't talk about it enough. Centuries, landowners used to be vexed by the problem of keeping their female animals in one place so they could become their husbands.
Oh, God.
How disgusting is that? It's gross. Who thought of this practice? And I'm sure these gross farmers tried everything. I'll bet they played Careless Whisper on their harpsichord way back in the day. They put sexy red scarves over the lanterns. Probably even sprayed a little bit of Drakkar Noir. That shit works miracles. Still, those sexy Elsie the cows would play hard to get. They'd be all like, not tonight. My third stomach's a little upset. That is until this date in 1867 when one Lucian Smith of Kent, Ohio, invented something that greatly improved every farmer's odds. And before you guess, the Spanish fly, no, it's not that. I mean, without a drink to even drop it into, how can it? Anyway, I'm going to be right back after I research alternative applications for my bovine aphrodisiacs.
You know, Crystal, we're talking with this brilliant team today about benefits, but one benefit that people can give themselves is better property management. And we've mentioned a ton of property management softwares that are out there, but let's give people 3 reasons why the one we're about to mention is different. First, software alone doesn't really solve your problem.
And that's why Hemlane's property management provides 24/7 repair coordination. That's right. You can either use your own service professionals or you can tap into their licensed network. Notice I said licensed network.
Right. No, That's a good point. And we talked earlier in the show about it. Don't ask how, ask who. And Hemlane definitely knows who the who's are. Second, many of you are investing out of state. So Hemlane connects you with licensed leasing agents and other tenant placement services to help you find and place a tenant.
And then third, Hemlane is ranked #1 by Gartner with 4.8 star reviews.
Wow.
So they're legit. Yeah, I know when I'm looking for food, if it's 4.5 and under, I'm not touching the restaurant.
Yeah. When you see the sign that says discount sushi, you're like, no, probably not. Not two words that go together. Manage your rental properties with 100% transparency and control without the administrative work through Hemlane. They offer everything from advertising your rental to over 30 rental websites to automatic rent collection and late fees. Best of all, you can tap into their network for a more hands-off and remote experience. Hemlane will increase your satisfaction and your cash flow with your rental properties.
So visit www.hemlane.com and don't forget to mention to tell Hemlane that you heard about them through Stacking Deeds. Hemlane will dramatically improve your property management.
We talk about Hemlane because of the fact that we believe in them very much, to the point that we have an affiliate deal with them. So if you'd like to help the show and help yourself, make sure when you go to hemlane.com, you tell them what, Crystal, you just said.
Yep.
Please tell them Stacking Deeds.
Sent you.
We should have coordinated that.
Hey there, daters. I'm rural romancer and Bevo the Bull's wingman at the dairy bar, Ruth's mechanic, neighbor Doug. After Lincoln signed the Homestead Act of 1862, any honest American, including women and slaves, could receive 160 acres if they lived on it for at least 5 years. Those huge tracts of land were pretty attractive to cattle ranchers. After all, tons of grass to eat, and your neighbors wouldn't complain if your cows pooped on their lawn. But there was one problem. These guys were also engaged in some scandalous behavior called animal husbandry. Still, sounds horrible. Which brings us back to today's trivia question. What did one Lucian Smith of Kent, Ohio, apparently okay with this weird husbandry behavior, patent on this day in 1867 that would not only help keep cattle in one place, but some would say did more to help promote Western expansion than the steam train? It was none other than barbed wire. It wasn't an immediate smash hit, though, this being the Civil War era, and all the ranchers in the South thought it was a trick by Northerners to injure their cattle. But they quickly realized that the cattle wouldn't voluntarily turn themselves into hamburger meat. By 1880, hundreds of thousands of miles of wire were being produced. And ever since, these farmers have probably celebrated June 25th as Bow Chicka Wow Wow Day.
No.
Wait. Hold on. Ruth's talking to me. What? What's that, Ruth? Read the. Okay. Oh, yeah, let me read that. Okay. Yeah. And then the. Whoa. Oh, wow. Really? I did not know that. Maybe I shouldn't have just studied the barbed wire part of this trivia. Turns out animal husbandry is something way more common sense than what I originally thought it was. And now, let's get back to Crystal and Joe, who will finally have that talk with you about the birds and the bees.
Well, Doug, I'm certainly happy you figured out what animal husbandry was. Crystal, he was scaring me there.
Yeah, all these years. I
just got regaled.
I mean, who thought a bull could be accept wedding vows and be a husband?
Right.
That part's still a little foggy.
Oh my gosh, it's over.
How do they commit?
It's over.
Our second half of our deep dive here into economic statistics comes to us from American Economy Daily. And this piece, Crystal, goes into a bunch of other data. And this is all around renting. And the very first thing that they talk about in this piece is the percentage of tenants deemed very likely to face eviction has escalated from 16% to, they call it an alarming 23%. 23% of all tenants are likely to face eviction. Crystal, that's not a good number.
That's not a good number. It's not a great number. That's a horrible number. So with this number, this is where your vacancy rate calculation would increase, because That's a lot of work to go through an eviction. That's a lot of anguish to go through for an eviction. So then I would also want to hop on my Google machine to see where this is happening. Like, is this clustered in an area where an election just happened or something just shut down? I don't know. I would want
Well, I
more.
completely agree. I also love the idea of planning for the worst.
Yes, that too.
If nearly 1 out of 4 people say that they are likely to be evicted, I'm going to say that's a pretty high probability that, especially if I own multiple doors, that this could happen to me. And if it does happen to me, my first question to myself is,
You
what is
say
my
self? You're supposed to say, I
self?
looked in the mirror and said self.
What is the, we get eye roll from Doug, who didn't know what animal husbandry was. It's okay. We have to ask ourselves, do we have a plan to evict someone? What is our plan? Because Crystal, we've had people on here, even in the short time we've had this podcast, we have had people on this show who have been very, very, very worried about kicking somebody out of their house.
Oh, yeah.
Like they don't want to do it. They would rather not get rent than confront somebody. And this is part of the job. You can't lose thousands of dollars a month because you don't got the heart to evict somebody. You've got to remember that this is a business.
Yep. You've got to be selfish here. You have to put yourself first here. I was trying to look up the name because, we had DJ Olojo on that talked about foreclosures. He wrote a book on foreclosures, and it is something that you definitely need to have your exit strategy for, because when you get into a property, there's going to be a time when there's an out. So you need to think of, okay, what if I want to get out when it's a good market? What if I want to get out because it's a bad market? What are my steps A through Z? What are my steps when I have a squatter? What are my steps if I have to evict someone? Like, these are all scenarios that you should have your A through Z's, or your person. I got an eviction person, a legal eviction person, by the way.
Yeah.
You want this legally done, not Sopranos done. So
Sopranos
yeah,
done.
you don't want it that style. You want legal style. So you need to know.
Crystal's like, I am from the south side of Chicago, however.
Well, it was funny. They were interviewing someone from The Sopranos that was on the show. And she's like, well, I thought when I went to the audition, I was like, they don't even have a band here. She's like, do I sing a cappella? They're like, no, it's not that kind of show.
Might be a little different. I also think, to your point, that, the number, whatever you're using, if it's at your place is going to be vacant for 2 months, 2.5 months, you might want to bump that up a little. Might want to bump that up a little longer.
Increase.
Because as the chance happens that it could happen to you, you also want to make sure you've got enough money in reserve to, withstand that storm. That one's not good. Here is another statistic. The proportion of timely rental payments, though, has risen from approximately 80 to 82.5%. So here's the deal. People that are paying on time. This is becoming, it appears, Crystal, to be a case of the haves and have-nots. So you got people that have money and are able to pay the rent every month. And then you have the pretenders on the other side. I think your job is to have a system of finding renters that truly digs in. If you're not digging into who your renter is beforehand, before you let them into your house, I think it's time to get that process, Doug.
Joe, I just wanted to interrupt. If you kept reading, I think there's a paragraph down below that it says it's crucial to understand this is an improvement attributed to survivorship bias.
Yeah,
so
good point.
It's going down because the people who are going to flunk out have already flunked out. And so it starts to look better because
the curve,
people who are going to get booted and didn't pay.
There's fewer number of rentals on the market. We've gone from 62 million to 58 million. So because there's a decrease of 6.5%, this also makes it look like more people are paying the rent on time. Smaller sample size. I'm glad you brought that up. The next insight in this fantastic piece, this situation could lead landlords to convert rental properties into sales to mitigate losses from high vacancy rates and unpaid rents. That's the next thing. I'll tell you what, Crystal, we've got that in my family. My son, Nick, as I've mentioned before, he had 14 rental properties. I think now he's down to 12. And the reason is he's sold a couple when he first got started, he made the mistake of getting adjustable rate mortgages, which we saw Greg McBride from Bankrate a couple of weeks ago say that's not a good idea. Do the 30-year. Do not do the adjustable rate mortgage. Make it work on a 30 and you're going to be much more. I love that conservative advice. He made the mistake of going with an adjustable rate mortgage. His mortgage rate went through the roof. The math didn't work anymore. So he flipped the property. But he's also still out there buying properties right now, Crystal. He's got 3 properties right now that he's working on above the 12 rental properties. So he's at 15. He's got 3 properties that he's flipping currently just to make money while interest rates are still higher. So I'm seeing it close to home in my family. This is happening.
Oh, that makes sense. So instead of doing a buy and hold, the buy and flip, so he's in that higher interest rate for a shorter amount of time. And that's another instance of knowing the market and knowing what options work best in which kind of market. I like that. Yeah, going back to Greg McBride when he talked about not getting the adjustable rate mortgage, because a lot of people do, they get into it just because it's cheaper at the time. But for me, I've run into an issue where I got into this ARM because interest rates were high, the ARM was lower. And now it's almost 20 years later that I've owned this home and I was not able to refinance it because of the neighborhood that it was in. So I'm still stuck with this adjustable rate mortgage. I've been trying to pay it off early, but you never know what's going to happen. Like I didn't think, remember, this is a neighborhood that I grew up in. And it's funny that we looked it up on that site.
There's no way still to take out a separate mortgage to pay it off.
I can take one out on my home here in Alexandria. They throw money at me here in this zip code, but I just didn't want to do that. But it also gives you a point of also find your comfort zone, because when I saw that my neighborhood had a D or F rating, I'm like, that's not true in my eyes. That could be true in an outsider's eyes. So definitely make sure you know that market. You live, eat, breathe that market so you know what's a good deal or a bad deal to you.
Well, that is also Nick in Detroit. Same thing. He knows I buy on this street.
Yep.
This street is going to be coming in about 6 months. So I'm starting to look at this next street and see what's going on. It is truly, Crystal, it's a street by street
basis
business.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
This is another worrying trend in the rental space, specifically year-over-year data for November of last year indicates a decrease of over 2% in rental prices nationwide, with this trend showing a significant downward trajectory. That is, by the way, continued according to all the data we've seen today. Rental prices not going up, rental prices actually coming down.
And mortgage rates have been going up, not even rates. What was that other one? The mortgage is up 14%. So the price of a mortgage from that, the previous, overall is up 14%. Wow, rents are declining. So even when you're doing that math, there are situations where that math still works, but you don't know till you run those numbers. I mean, those statistics both sound bad. But if you look at rent prices in those two areas and mortgage prices in those areas, the math will let you know if that's happening in your targeted area of where you would like to invest. So run those numbers.
That's why I really like being in the market at the time of year when houses are really going on the market. A lot of people, because people are going to put their house on the market for a stupid number. They're going to do some dumb stuff with some real estate. You want to have the heartbeat enough that when the math works, that you can jump on it. Because Crystal, otherwise you're just going to look at a ton of property. You're going to look at so many different properties waiting for finally something that actually works.
Even like for landlords and people that are shopping, this also helps you pick out horrible clients, because back when I was a realtor 20 years ago, I would have clients that didn't know what they were looking for and would have me taking them to millions of properties, and they had no intention or they had unrealistic expectations. So make sure you're not being sent on goose chases looking for something that just doesn't exist, looking for properties and numbers that just don't exist. Like, do that math first and just go after what's actually attainable, like what's real.
That's interesting. I was talking to another friend who's in real estate, and he was talking about a realtor that he met. And this realtor was trying to force the math, was trying to make the math work by being sketchy. And he just kept getting calls and calls and calls from this guy, because this guy is focused on this one property. And my buddy's like, you got to he found it annoying that this guy doesn't realize there's tons of properties out there. He's focused on this particular property and about how this is a great deal. And my buddy just keeps telling him, not a great deal.
Yeah, he should have dumped him.
Actually, it's funny because that's what we were talking about on the phone just a couple of days ago. So the next thing they talk about in this piece is inflation and the fact that, Crystal, a lot of the problem we're having with rental prices, the fact that renters not able to continually grab the higher and higher rent places, that people are becoming more cost conscious because food is more expensive than ever. And because of that, this piece gets into the fact that they think housing prices are going to come down, that prices are going to come down. I would never, ever, 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 ever focus my strategy on, was that enough evers?
2 more.
Focus my strategy on prices coming down. I wouldn't do it.
No.
I would focus on maybe they stay the same for a while. You know what I mean? They don't go up as quickly, but I also don't think prices are coming down. Prices aren't coming down. Don't say I'm waiting until prices come down. This happens in the stock market, happens in real estate.
All the time.
It's always a mistake.
Yeah. My favorite example of that in the stock market was Chipotle. I remember it was $900 a share and I'm like, oh, I'm not buying it. That's too high. I'm gonna wait for it to come down. Meanwhile, it's like $3,000 a share now. It's a crazy astronomical number. Yes. Chipotle is in the thousands of dollars per share. But same thing with real estate. Even if you look back at the data, it's a formula almost that tells you what's most likely to happen. What's most likely to happen is as these interest rates come down, people are going to come out of the woodwork to buy because maybe they've been sitting and waiting. Maybe they've been listening to us and they've been saving all this time. So they have money to burn. They'll have that lower interest rate and they'll have extra money for the bidding war. Or they may, hey, I don't need a mortgage. I could do cash only because I've been saving for so long. There's a lot of different things that come into play when you're just waiting for XYZ. If the numbers are there and you have the money and you can afford it, boom.
Buy it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Over the long term, Crystal, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, you're not going to know the difference between,
Nope.
You're
just
whatever
gonna be
the
happy
small,
that you did it.
Absolutely. Versus kicking yourself because you didn't buy Chipotle back in the day.
Exactly.
You know what you do to make sure that happens? Here's what you do to make sure that you're not getting FOMO later on about that. You buy Rivian instead, right, Doug?
Why? Why do you have to do this? You already beat me up on this on our other show, and now you're going to bring it here too? This is my safe haven.
Did you look up Chipotle? Did you look it up?
Exactly there with you.
If anyone wanted to
Which
look
one
up,
did I buy, Doug?
you didn't buy Chipotle?
I don't remember.
I bought Lumen at $1.60.
Oh, that's right.
As we record this, it's trading at $1.08.
Oh,
$1.08.
Ouch! Right in the kisser.
I've almost had my money cut in
got
half.
in at
I'm
the
working toward
IPO
cutting in
of
half.
Rivian.
Well, positive note, Chipotle, they offered a split. They're going to have a split because it said $3,365 a share. So look at me kicking myself because I thought, oh, the price is going to go down. I'm just going to hop in when the price comes down. So don't think you know more than...
In fact, true story, Doug. True story. Crystal went around making sure people got sick off the Chipotle stuff to try to make the stock come down a couple of years ago.
price come down, right? I'm like
teardropper in everybody's burrito bowl as she walks by.
No,
hey, look over there.
I'm like, okay, they did another salmonella, another E. coli. Price is going to come down for sure. Nope.
All I got to do is get a couple people sick, and that stock's coming down. But it didn't work. No,
nope, didn't happen.
That might be a fake story.
Nope. Nope.
All right.
Fake news, by the way.
I think we've got a bunch of takeaways for today. But Crystal, we're going to have both of these in a show notes for today's episode. Where do people get our show notes?
Yes, head to stackingdeeds.net. Stack it, not stacking. There is a G. Just didn't enunciate. Stackingdeeds.net/show notes. And they're hand delivered electronically by me.
I think the name, though, Stacking Deeds is even better. Just Stacking Deeds.
Snacking. You leave off the G when you're talking about snacking. Or no, hunting, fishing.
Yeah, all the above.
Rowing.
You got all of them.
And if you have a question that you want us to answer, we want to hear your voice. Head to stackingdeeds.net. stacking.net/voicemail.
With an extra G, it sounds like stacking.
Yes, capital G. Yep. All the words or letters are lowercase except for that G.
I love talking to old people who are like,
That's
when you give them an email address or a URL, and they're like, wait, which words are capitalized? Oh, God.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, Mom.
www.https:// www.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Right. In case that's the
Do you know what's funny? I heard a comedian say this, by the way.
prefix.
You might have heard this too. That, you get these words and they are abbreviated to shorten them and make them easier. www is more syllables than just saying World Wide Web.
Oh.
How about that? He's like, yeah, not simplified at all. Doug's
No,
counting
it
them right
wasn't-
now.
I wasn't counting them.
Me
I knew you were gonna
too. It
say
was
that.
like 9
I
versus
wasn't counting
3.
them, but
I
I'm just trying to
was.
think what's easier to say, even though, because just more syllables doesn't
you.
necessarily make it harder to say. Because you could say www, and that's
Yes,
That's still 6 versus
know.
3.
but it's still more fun. It is more fun. www. I like just getting rid of it
W.
altogether. Just cut it.
how about we
We'll
cut,
cut it in post.
this episode right here.
Are we cutting this episode already?
No.
Oh, man.
I'm having fun. Just got comfortable. Just took my shoes
Right.
off.
That's why we got to go. Crystal took her shoes off. We got to get the hell out of here. Doug, what's our takeaways? Ugh.
Well, Joe first takes some advice from the first half of our headline. Buying a home, while interest rates are higher, that's driven people from the market, making your odds of scoring that sweet deal you're chasing better. But the bad news? If it isn't truly a sweet deal, it's going to be a rough landing. Second, take advice from the second half of our headline. With rents going down and evictions increasing, you have some big things to do. 1, make sure you have an eviction plan, but also 2, ask yourself if your rents are competitive in the market. While you don't want to lose out by undercharging, you also don't want to have your house sit vacant for months on end. But the big lesson? If you really want to help out Bevo the Bull get through those long winter nights, just buy him one of those automatic milking machines.